Chatham House's Director of Africa Program, Dr. Alex Vines, introduces the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obis, to the audience.
So I want to invite you to come to the podium here and give your presentation, and then we'll have a conversation after that.
Mr. Obis, who is attending the event with some of his supporters, makes his presentation, which centers around his widely publicized 7-point agenda for restoring the country.
The Nigerian state is captive to an elite gang-up and a rentier political economy that concentrated power in hands of those who came to power and influence mainly through their own contrivances and influence rather than affirmation of the people, and therefore do not have the incentive to serve the people.
Mr. Obis' enthusiasm for a new Nigeria is partly inspired by Nigerian youth who have remained resilient in the face of disappointment from successive governments to meet their aspirations.
The reason for these very high stakes are locking in the fast of demographics with our dominant population, the youth, frustrated and unhappy with the status quo and diminished opportunities in Nigeria in an age of globalization where internet and easily reveal to them prosperous homes of those who live in a better led and governed countries. We will use merit to assemble competent Nigerians from all sections of Nigeria to form effective government of national unity.
That's not all. He also goes into specifics on his plans for critical sectors of the economy.
Our solution to the perennial power problem in Nigeria is comprehensive and it's well covered in our manifesto. We will ensure that we deal with the issue of transmission, distribution. However, we will immediately complete the 2.3 billion Nigeria Siemens network improvement deal to achieve a stable 7,000 by the end of this year, 11,000 megawatts by 2024, and 25,000 megawatts by 2025.
After his presentation, which lasted for about 30 minutes, it was time for the audience to scrutinize the candidate.
One question is from Baba Femi Adibola, who said, given the complexity of Nigeria's democracy and the Labour Party not projected to have the majority in the National Assembly, how would you work with legislators to ensure the radical reforms you are proposing come to light if you win the presidential election?
When I was elected and sworn in as the governor, I have 30 House members, not from my party. In fact, nobody from my party was involved. As long as you are pursuing what is right, everybody will go with you because the legislator is insecure in his place. He knows that his people are without job, and that's what he wants. He wants development.
The Labour Party candidate ends his appearance by talking on his antecedents in governance and private life. He says his achievements as a former governor of Anambra State and in business speaks volumes about his potential to turn the country's fortunes around.
Go and check my record. I've governed the state for 8 years, and I've challenged everybody while you were there. I've been the only governor till today. The day I left office, I was not owing salary, pension, gratuity, or any contract or any supplier.
Mr. Obis is asking Nigerians to trust him and his running mate, Mr. Yusuf Baba Ahmed, with the task of building a new Nigeria where every citizen will be proud to be addressed as a Nigerian and where the country can stand shoulder to shoulder with its peers in the Committee of Nations.
Issues aren't going to go away without them being addressed, and of course that report is the fulcrum of our conversation with Nana Kazaure, who is spokesperson, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. She joins us virtually from the UK. Thanks for joining us this morning, madam. Well, perhaps it's in order to ask you, how did it go? I mean, we've listened to the report and everything. Generally, what would you say the reception was, the ambience was? How would you sum up that appearance of your principal at Chatham House?
that meeting at Chatham House went swimmingly. It went so well. You know, especially when we got to the question and answer session, you could just see how His Excellency Peter Obi shone. He was answering the questions. It came to him naturally. You could actually just see him in his element. He's somebody who, one thing you can never take away from His Excellency Peter Obi is how he just deconstructs it all. How, you know, he lets you see very clearly his vision of that a new Nigeria whose time has come is already here. He deconstructs it. He makes it easy to understand, very simple and plain English. And it was refreshing. We were given extra time. That was, you know, I hear it's not the practice at Chatham Hall. They are very stringent with the timing, but we were given extra time because of how engaged people were. So it went swimmingly. It made me proud of my green passport. Thank you.
Well, I'm also very proud of the green and white. Yes, good morning. But, you know, speaking to some of the issues that were raised by Mr. Obi, you know, at that house, it just it brings to mind for so many other people. Some other people might say, look, we heard this before. We're gonna fight corruption. We're gonna deal with the power sector. We're gonna, you know, put people in employment. These things have been said by politician after politician. You're aware that such promises have been made before. So the question naturally that many people would ask is, what's going to be different this time around? For instance, the suggestion or promise of improving power supply gradually and, you know, successively. We've heard that before. Many Nigerians will say we've heard that before. But then there is a lot of hope, especially from the young people, about this. What exactly, the question will be, is how? What's the assurance that this will not just be a promise, but it will be something that will indeed be done to the pleasure of Nigerians?
Thank you very much for that question. One thing you would know about His Excellency Peter Obi is that he's a doer. He's done it before. He did it in another state, in several sectors, in the health sector, in the education sector, in the security sector. They were last, as at the time he was governor of Anambra State. But within the first 5 years of him taking over the state, you know, his administration of the state, you could see the progression. So it's you see, there's something that let me cast our minds back to a former governor of Edo State, Lucky Ibenedion's father. There was a time where people were so distraught and they were asking, why would he come back? Why should his son have a second term? And the father said, well, if a child writes an exam and he fails, then the person should be made to repeat the class. So his son is there to repeat and maybe right wrongs. But what we're saying right now, even if you want to take that same analogy, that same comparison, when Peter Obi was taking his exam in Anambra State for 8 years that he was governor, he passed with flying colors. It's time to promote him to presidency.
Okay, but speaking to the power sector, yes, speaking to the power sector, there are those who allude to the complexity of that sector, and successive governments would seem to have been unable to really deal with the issue decisively, although there are those who would argue that there's been a marginal increase in electricity supply to various people. But then there was a very, very crucial question that was asked of Mr. Obi yesterday, how he would deal with that, what they call a cabal of those who provide alternative power supply solutions to Nigerians, generators, solar systems, and all of those things. So it's a clearly formidable structure, if one can put it that way, that unless you are in the saddle to really know what the issues are, you may not be able to deal with it. The current government, for instance, made a promise that we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But when they got into the saddle, they found out that, hey, things aren't really the way we saw them when we were on the outside. What if Mr. Obi also got into the saddle, to the driver's seat, and finds out that things are not really as easy as I thought they were? And consequently, I may not be able to deliver as quickly as I thought I would.
And please don't ever get His Excellency Peter Obi wrong. He's never said it's going to be a walk in the park to come and do all, to change and do all the reforms that he intends to do to bring Nigeria to a better place. One thing that you would always understand is that as long as you are not criminally minded, as long as you are not a criminal, then these structures should have no fear. It's just a simple message. If you're doing the right thing at the right time with the right people, then there's no reason why His Excellency Peter, if you're not being just only transactional, but then if you're causing the Nigerian people ache and pain, if your line of business now, be it in the power sector, be it in the be in all spheres of governing Nigeria, it's seen to be corrupt, it's seen to deprive the Nigerian populace of what is their fundamental human right. That is when you will be in a collision course. And he did say during the interview, he said, and whoever is in the way, well, but then if your hands are clean, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. So I don't see people are fretting why there's so much angst and worry. If you know that you are a well-meaning Nigerian, if you know that you earn a legitimate income from the business that you do, then why should you be afraid when Peter Obi and Senator Yusuf Dirty Baba Ahmed come in to take over the helms of affairs? It's a very simple thing, if you ask me, honestly.
Well, it's a little different. You actually answer the first question now, because the question that I was asking right now is, what if he gets into the saddle to discover that things are not the way he thought they were when he didn't have all the facts of the problems of the power sector? That's exactly the same thing that this current government, perhaps found out that, look, things are a lot more complex, especially in the power sector, than we thought they were. And there were allegations that, look, all of the conversations, all of the agreements we had were not going to work, and they still aren't working, and we may need to renegotiate. So if Mr. Obi gets into office as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and finds out that I may not be able to do this as speedily as I wanted because of the shackles that have already been created by previous administrations, what happens?
Well, you see, I thoroughly disagree with you that when Peter Obi comes in, he will have those shackles. He's somebody who's going in on a very clean slate. He said the Nigerian Siemens network deal would be put come to play. So I'll say it again. I'll say it again and again. As long as people are doing the right thing, yes, there will be people who want to push back that structure that you said will be there. But I have a lot of confidence in His Excellency Peter Obi, that he will do as he has said he would do. Nigerians do want that change, and he will be having the backing of Nigerians. So everybody should either shape up or shape out.
Yeah, Madam Nana, Nigerians are hoping for that change, but whether or not your candidate Peter Obi will deliver is what they are yet to find out if he's elected. But back to his performance at Chatham House yesterday, some of the things that he said. Some of the things that he said include ending transactional policies in government and putting an end to the criminal structure in government. And perhaps relatedly, one of the questions I was asked is if he is elected, and it so happens that the National Assembly is populated by members of other political parties, how will he handle that challenge? And to that he responded that when he was governor of Anambra State, the 30 members of the State House of Assembly were from other political parties. But what he didn't tell us was how he handled that challenge when he was governor. And we recall that he was impeached, but thankfully reinstated by the courts. How will he handle similar challenge, particularly if he's not unable to reclaim that mandate? Are you confident that he thrashed that question as he ought to?
Let me give you a clear example of when he was governor and how he handled a particular sector. I think I'm referring to the health sector right now. He told me a story. When he was governor, he had there was money allocated for the health sector, but somehow, and then there were ambulances. I think he said he bought about 30 ambulances for the state so that, the health sector, because he's somebody who believes very strongly in the Human Development Index, of which life expectancy, health is one of those things that, So he was saying that when all of this happened and he put the monies in the hands of the structure, it didn't particularly go well. Nothing was happening. It was silence, radio silence. And then he now decided to do things differently. He now went to the Catholic bishops, to the churches, and said, you know what? How about we give this to you and let us see how you can prove on this? And that was how he did it. One thing about His Excellency is that he's a man he always has a plan B. So if plan A wasn't going to work, or he saw that there were people who were going to jeopardize his efforts, then he would put plan B into action. And I think that it's important for Nigerians to know that this is a man who let me call it, he has a track record. You can clearly see that he has a vision. He's done these things before. Nigeria is not, he even quoted Chino Achebe yesterday. Nigerians are not a very difficult people. But one day I sat with him and he was talking about positioning. The posture of the person who is going to take over the reins. You've got to, Queen Elizabeth said something. She said, you have to be seen to be believed. And that's something that His Excellency Peter Obi has understood and has mastered, which many people should understudy. He's been seen and he's done these things before, so it's easy to believe this man. It's easy. I've said it before that if His Excellency Peter Obi was from Venezuela, for example, or from Egypt, and Nigerians gave him this ticket, I would still vote for him. So, I hope I thrashed your question.
I wonder if his plan B will cover, certain facts and obstructions at the National Assembly, including a northern majority, the obstacles around local government autonomy, the disagreement amongst subnationals, mostly disagreement on state police. I wonder if his plan B covers the realities around those issues.
The reality around that issue is a very clear one. Please do not twist it. The reality about that issue is that what do Nigerians need? What is in the best interest of Nigeria? What is in the best interest of the populace? What is in the best interest for women and children? What is in the best interest for our security? We know for a fact that it's not, it's not really working for us if we say we just want to keep policing at the federal level. And that is why he's proposing to Nigerians. And Nigerians are seeing that this actually makes sense for us to have a three-tier policing system. He did it in Anambra State. Many states are already doing it. It is not unconstitutional because they have to protect their states. So what we should be asking is, are these things that he's proposing, are they to the benefit of Nigerians, or is it a selfish interest? Once you can identify that this is for Nigerians, for the growth of our beautiful country. When you talk about Northern Nigeria, I'm from Northern Nigeria. Am I buying bread, cheaper than somebody else? Am I secure? Are we secure? And that's the one thing, if you know Northern Nigerians very well, we, the insecurity and everything that's going on, it's alien to us. We don't like it. You understand? We are a very accommodating people. Northern Nigerians are an amazing group of people. Like the whole of Nigeria is. Let me not just isolate because that is my own region. But then I'm speaking for them because you do our legislature want to be the spanner in the wheels? Why were they put into office? Like I said, it's either you shape up or ship out. Because If you want development for your region, you want development for your state, you want development, then these things have to come. We have to have these conversations. We have to start to prepare ourselves and brace ourselves for these very, very difficult conversations, which we've been sweeping under the rug, because I believe, like, even His Excellency Peter Obi said it yesterday, that there's been a lack of political will. There has been a lack of focused leadership.
Well, there's no twisting the facts. As you've rightly pointed out, we've not been able to get past these issues. One of the questions he also responded to yesterday was also about non-state actors, and to which he said he restated his approach of dialogue, that he would dialogue with the non-state actors, be it the IPOB in the southeast or even the Yoruba Nation agitators in the southwest. And he also said, in addition to that, that he has agitators even in his own home, to which some would say that is simplistic and not in full cognizance of the realities on the ground, particularly if you recall the amnesty program of the past administrations, where funds were disbursed, trainings were conducted. But somewhere down the line, particularly at the onset of this now outgoing administration, those agitators were able to easily regroup and began vandalism of oil installations in the southern part of the country. So is his disposition really in full recognition of the realities on ground of, when we talk about the consequences of dialoguing with, those who perpetrate internal insurrection within the country?
Inclusion is at the fore of many of the things that His Excellency Peter Obi and his running mate, Senator Doti Baba Ahmed, proposed to Nigerians. A lot of these people feel disenfranchised. So, and then if you notice, in the past 7 years, one thing we have struggled with, let me say 23 years of the PDAPC, we've lacked transparency in government. One thing His Excellency Peter Obi and his deputy and his vice presidential candidate, Dr. Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, are all about, because I've worked with them, is they're very about transparency. So every step of the way, Nigerians will be carried along. We cannot do anything. It will be counterproductive. We're in a democracy. Are we going to now carry guns and bombs and start killing our own people? They are our people. And it is not unconstitutional for you to be agitated about a thing. It is not wrong for you to say, I feel excluded in this thing. I want things to be done. As long as you are not a criminal, His Excellency Peter Obi has always emphasized, as long as you are not a criminal, he will dialogue with you. It's the way to go.
Well,
it's the way the world operates right now.
Yeah.
We are not in a dictatorship. I think Nigerians are so used to a dictatorship because, well, even me, most of my youthful years were in a dictatorship.
Well, so let me quickly follow up on that, madam.
Let me finish.
One of the issues that a number of people...
for us to have a democracy,
just one moment, madam.
In the way they think.
Just one moment, madam. On that same issue, particularly speaking to the IPOB that Mr. Obi said he would be negotiating or dialoguing with.
IPOB and others.
And others.
It's
well,
not just IPOB.
I get that, but speaking specifically to IPOB, I hope it is not lost on your campaign that the IPOB has been proscribed by the federal government and the court in the country. The executive and the judiciary have proscribed them as terrorist organizations. Will the Labour Party then, or the administration of Peter Obi, be negotiating with terrorists?
We won't negotiate with terrorists. That's what I said. Please go back to what I said. I said, as long as you are not criminally minded, as long as you are not known to have been a criminal, he will dialogue with you. And that is where the security agents come in. There's no way you would say that within a community, we have the vigilantes and all. I'm sure with investigation, and that's why it's important for our
I'm just a little lost. Just 1 second. When you said that...
I just want to... let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go. No, you speak. You're the.
I just wanted to ask, just clarity. I mean, IPOB has been proscribed by the federal government as a terrorist organization. The court has also validated that. So that's why I'm asking to that one specifically. Is that not, I hope that is not lost on your party. That's all.
It is not lost on our party. To answer your question, it is not lost.
Okay.
We don't live under a rock. But the truth of the matter is, are they not Nigerians? Whatever is within the ambit of the law, Peter Obi has always shown, and Senator Yusuf Baba Ahmed, if you look at the progression and the trajectory of their political careers, they have never taken anything that the judiciary has put to the fore for granted.
Well, one would expect that, yes, one would expect that will also come in the conversations. But we have to thank you very much for that very, for being a part of our program this morning. Nana Kazaure, spokesperson, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, joined us virtually from the UK. Thank you again for being a part of our conversation this morning.
Thank you very much for having me, and have a great day.
And you as well. Well.